Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have here an article with some statements made by the British Defense Minister, Ben Wallace, and I think that shows a kind of support that Great Britain showed also to Poland in 1939 and 1938 and during the war, which actually triggered the Second World War. And oh yeah, I know that you might be saying, well, I mean, wait a second, the Second World War started when Germany invaded Poland, right, on September 1st, 1939. Well, not really, because that was a war between one country and another country, so that's not a world war. I would claim, like many other historians do, that actually the Second World War started when Great Britain declared war on Germany. That became a regional war, and then France declared war on Germany, and that is already 4 countries at war. Then we have Soviet Union, who got involved without any declaration of war and anything meaningful to achieve but get territory from Poland. So, but if you remember, the defenders of truth and freedom, in this case Great Britain and France, did not declare war on Soviet Union, doing the same thing, even more, because they would have no justification whatsoever to get tangled with Poland. But that's how fair these 2 countries were. Yes, I know that's a fact, and some people don't like it, but you can't pick and choose. I will linger on this subject after I make a point with Mr. Wallace, who I think in this article is just, I think he makes some very interesting and low-level statements. And I feel sorry for my British friends, as I'm sorry for us here in the United States for having this kind of weasels out there leading us. We have Biden, Kamala, and what's his name, Blinken, and the other one, Kirkby, and other weasels, and you guys have lazy Truss, which it seems like now this guy comes out of the woodwork and shows us that he's not really as good as others, but maybe he's at the level of Lloyd Austin, and Mark Milley in the United States, which is very, very scary because they are in charge of our defense. So let's go and see what's going on here with this article coming from Ukrinform, and this is the title. West won't run out of weapons for Ukraine, British Defense Minister assures. So that means we will provide Ukraine with weapons forever. It's up to Russia to bend over and take it. We will not. We will go as we went with Poland. And you say, see, yeah, but what was the result? What was the result? Great Britain lost its power after the Second World War. Great Britain got in big fucking debt after the Second World War, if you remember. And the world was again divided into spheres of influence. Instead of having the Nazis, now you had the Soviets and the Americans. So instead of having this dog, you had the other 2 dogs. So what was the problem? And you had the Cold War between these 2 dogs with nuclear weapons. So very good. Support them and see maybe the consequences of your support will be worse than the ones that you anticipated, or exactly the ones that you anticipate. So let's go and see what Mr. Wallace says. So British Defense Minister Ben Wallace says there is no risk that Western allies will run out of weapons to support Ukraine. That means the armed industry of the Western countries will have a blast. They're having a party right now with champagne and ladies of the night and Cuban cigars. Fantastic. Good. But we, on the other hand, we're going to pay for extra energy because of the sanctions, the same weasels placed on Russia, and maybe we'll get some atomic bombs or nuclear bombs on our head in Great Britain coming from the Russian side. It's okay. We're morally superior to those evil Russians. All right, so this article comes from BBC, reported by Ukrinform with reference to the BBC. Now, BBC is not a private media outlet, just so you know. Like Russia Today, it's not. what can I do? Like Ukraine Forum, it's got, owned by, I think, by the Ukrainian state, by Pravda, Ukrainska Pravda, by the New Voice of Ukraine, by PBS, and by what's that? NPR. Those are not, those are government. All right, let's move on and see what's going on here. Speaking to reporters, he's a public figure. He speaks publicly. Wallace emphasized that, unlike Russia, which has already isolated itself, I'm going to talk about isolation, the West can refurbish or indeed manufacture a new supply chain, which is what we are going to do now. Russia is not isolated. You isolate yourself when you start isolating. I don't talk to you, I don't talk to you, I don't talk to you. Let's say it's 20 people I don't talk to. There they talk among them. So who isolated who? I'm isolated from 20. I isolated myself from 20. But they're not isolated with one another. They're isolated with one, which is me. So I'm with 20, they're with one. Who's more isolated? I, not them. So this is the logic, and this is a British defense minister. That's why I say it's kind of like shows his level. When asked how NATO would react if Russia used nuclear weapons in Ukraine, the British minister said that would not speculate on this topic. Well, it's not about speculation, my boy. I know, your army, your military has plans. Plans sometimes, or most of the times, in time of peace, are created in case of certain scenarios. You have them. That's how you survive. You have them. You have these plans. If Russia uses nuclear weapons here, we do this. If Russia, and you reconsider that when that happened, but you don't have to think it like this guy. Well, we don't know. We don't speculate. Only when it happens, we go together and we decide and we talk about it. No, that's been decided. That's been talked already. You know exactly what you're going to do. Nothing. Why? Because you know that if you're going to do something, they will do the same thing to you. And that means the end of the world, not you only, because you're going to retaliate and you're going to do and all that. It's going to go like this and boom, boom. So you know exactly what you're going to do, but you're afraid to say it. We're not going to do anything. Because if you say we're going to do something, your stock market will tank. You create panic, people are going to buy again toilet paper to eat and wipe their asses, and then we're going to have a crisis like we had before with and all that, all right? And yes, you are involved in this war. You are supporting the other guy's enemy. So stop with that. And tell us here a little bit more here about what help Great Britain gives to Ukraine. At the same time, he added that the members of Defense Alliance, there's no alliance, that's Weasels and the Master, which is United States, are meeting to ensure readiness for whatever challenges they might face. So it says here that they will provide, Great Britain will provide ammunition, air defense system capable of hitting enemy cruise missiles. They are advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles, AMRAAM and NASAMS air defense systems. In addition, the United Kingdom will supply Ukraine with hundreds of defense missiles of other types, as well as additional drones and 18 howitzers. But you're not involved. No, you're not involved. Yes, you are. You are. The only thing you don't have, as far proven 100%, active military, British military fighting, shooting at the Russians in Russia. Everything you got. You got military trainers, you got military observers, you got command hubs, you have, okay, that's the only thing you're missing. You have information, you have intelligence, you provide, you help, so don't tell me you're not involved. Just because you're not involved that 1%, which is the bullet, you're involved 99%. And as a country who, let's say I'm Russia, I don't wait for the 100%, I wait for the 1% that you did you send helmets? You're involved. Did you place sanctions on me because of to help my enemy? You're involved. And I can go on and on with this. Now let's go to this guy's statements that we're not going to run out of supply. That tells the Ukrainians that they have their backs. Yeah, these guys are going to give us, as long as we have Ukrainians who are fooled into fighting the Russians for the interest of foreign interest, okay, fight the Russians for those guys over there and die because they think they defend their countries, but they were drawn into that by other little schemers. They will have enough ammunition to give you to kill your children and your parents and your brothers and your sisters. Now let's go back to this. This sounds like the Second World War before the Second World War started, when Germany was negotiating with Poland about the Gdansk-Danzig corridor. You remember that? Gdansk was taken from Germany after the First World War, was given to Poland like many other territories, and Poland was formed as a country again. Remember, Poland did not exist until 1790 something, didn't exist until 1918. It was no country. Done. And then it was reformed, taken from everybody else, and said, oh, this is Poland right here. And Poland, you are our weasel. Poland said, yes, we're going to be. So that's how Poland was formed in 1918. You don't believe me? The evidence is historical, it's documented, it's not me pulling out of my butt all this. And then what happened? They took from Germany, they took old East Prussia, right? Part of it. Gdansk is the port, Danzig. And they isolated those Germans from the German per se. And the German said, Hitler, when he got a little bit more muscle, said, hey, how about we create a corridor so they can go in and out and make a little bit of autonomy on that thing. Remember that? That sounds like Texas and Mexico, United States. Oh, okay. Forgot about that one. In 1800s and so on, how Texas became a state and then became part of the United States. Just look at the US-Mexican War and you find out how Texas got to be kind of like the same. Hey, those are Americans. You are hurting our Americans. We might help them. And then while we are at it, let's be together. The same thing with Sudetenland, the same thing with Danzig, the same thing with many, many other examples. But now it's the Russians, and Russians have to be destroyed. So, and then what happened? When these guys were discussing, the Poles and the Germans, about, hey, how can we solve the Danzig corridor problem, the Great Britain said, no, we're going to support you, to the Poles. We're going to support you as long as it takes. We're going to give you support. If Germany attacks you, we're going to back you up. And that's exactly what happened. The Poles said, okay, yeah, Germany, we're going to talk about it. Yeah, we're going to talk next time. Yeah. They argued and they negotiated fate. That's how it's called. When you know you're not going to negotiate anything, but you pretend. Better don't. And Hitler did what he did, attacked the country, Poland, and then who intervened? Great Britain intervened, and then you got the other guys, French, and they declared war on Germany. Only on Germany, not on Soviet Union, which was a communist, was the threat was bigger Soviet Union than Germany. But Germany, anyway. So they attacked a capitalist country versus a communist country. What are we going to do about it? Nothing. That's how the Second World War started. Not when Germany attacked Poland. That's not when it started. That was a one country against one country. That's not called the World War, okay? But when you have, and then you have the two more declaring war, that you already have four. How do you call that? Regional war? Okay, whatever. You say, oh yeah, how do you call them? The Soviets intervened. Well, did you declare war on them? No, why not? That means you didn't consider them active participants in the war. Or they were your allies then, and we didn't know that. Oh, the Ribbentrop-Molotov. Hey, they did the same thing as the Germans without any reason. Without any, we do this because of Danzig corridor. That's a reason. But the Soviets said, no, we're just going to go and grab some land right there. Land grab. I'm going to punch those guys again in the face as they punched us when they were a country before 1794 or something. Remember? The Poles got to Moscow, I think, at least on one occasion. That's all I know. I know one. And it's good enough for me. So the Russians didn't forget, so now they returned the favor as a Soviet Union. So why not against those guys? Why not attack those guys? Why? I mean, if you see a rape here and you see a rape there, you condemn both of them. No, you just condemn this way because this guy, you don't like him because this guy doesn't like certain people, and those people are riding high on your freaking country and the other country across the Atlantic, and then you go over these guys. Those guys know because the same guys are in charge over there. Kaganovich, Yogoda, and all that. Trotsky was over there, gone, I think, at that time. Not I know, he was gone and so on. And to those guys, what do you want? Is their fault? No, it's not. But you are unfair. And then what were the consequences? Instead of having sphere of influence like Germany, now after the Second World War, what did you have? You had the Soviets and you have the Americans. They divided the world in two. And it's a Cold War. So great job. That was the consequence of your decision. What are the consequences of these decisions to support Ukraine 100%? Did you think about it? Maybe, I'm pretty sure you did, but probably you like the consequences. Because after the Second World War, what happened with Great Britain? Lost? Lost what lost? Lost the influence around the world, right? Because after that it was the whole empire. It collapsed after the First World War, technically, but then finally after the Second. And then what happened? You became in debt like a slave. To whom? International banking and United States of America. Thank you very much. Good, you did a great job. And then you became a second-rated power under the command of the big boy and the Soviets who were over there and doing their hanky-panky. So yeah, keep helping. That's great. That's great. I'm not saying you should not, but maybe you should not participate in this. Maybe you should try to talk with those guys to stop the whole thing. No, it's a fire. Let me put some logs because I'm going to get some money around it. Anyway, and the other guy has to go, which is Russia. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.